Look, y'all already know me. I can't go anywhere without picking up a new piece of art, a little trinket, a poster, something for the crib. That's why the other art fair, that's a dangerous place for me. It's 4 days of independent artists, thousands of original artwork starting at around $100. Even if you're not trying to buy something, you can meet the artists, attend workshops and interactive installations, or, hang around for the mini golf, the DJ sets, and the fully stocked bar. Add the other art fair to your calendar. It's October 30th through November 2nd at Artifact Events in Ravenswood, and tickets start at just $20. Book your tickets online at theotherartfair.com. Look, it's already election season, my friends, and Chicago needs election judges for the March 17th primary. You can help your fellow Chicagoans cast their vote. You do have to be a registered voter in Cook County and a U.S. citizen, but you can earn up to $230 for your service. And if you speak Spanish, Hindi, Polish, Korean, Chinese, or Tagalog, then Chicago elections definitely needs your help. Help support communities across the city by serving as an election judge next year. Head to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov or call 312-269-7984. Today on CityCast Chicago. Recently, we did an entire episode on how we make friends in Chicago. But one option we ain't really get into are social clubs. And I'm not talking just the run, book, knitting, supper clubs. Nah, I'm talking the more exclusive, members only, and often pricier options in the city. So today, we're getting the inside look and seeing if they're really worth it. It's Thursday, October 16th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Peyton Turner follows art and culture in the city, and she's made some videos about Chicago's member-only social clubs. Peyton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored and I can't wait.
No, I appreciate you being here. First things first for listeners, when we're talking about a social club, they come in so many shapes and sizes. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, of course. So when I think of a social club, I think of a third space, usually traditionally a physical space, but a place where you can go outside of work, outside of your home, that is kind of tailored around people who have like similar lifestyles or similar values or similar interests. And I feel like for me, when I think about Chicago, they're usually broken up into wellness, the arts, or maybe more of this like educational prestige.
I got an opportunity to go give a morning lecture at this social club called Creative Morning Chicago.
Ooh, what is that?
It's a group of creatives and they come together, I believe, once a month, and they bring a speaker in, they have breakfast, and they all just kind of share conversation about the different industries they're in, the different ways that they're, building events in Chicago or pop-ups. They've had pop-up bakers, they've had florists, but you talk about these kind of physical spaces, which it's really hard to find places in Chicago that you can consistently go, that have consistent events. How did you first get introduced to social clubs in the city?
Of course. So I will say I grew up on the East Coast, and I had always heard of social clubs like Soho House, like when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And I very easily psyched myself out. I was like, I can never get into a club like that. And after the pandemic, I feel like I was like a lot of people, right? I was craving community. I just recently moved from New York to Chicago. I didn't know anybody. And I think this was when in my head and in my heart, I was like, I'm going to go for it. Like maybe I am cool enough, or like maybe I can make an attempt to get into a place like Soho House here. And I think it was actually one of the best decisions I could have made. And I will tell you, Jacoby, my first time going, I was invited as a guest to someone's like graduation party. And after her graduation party, I snuck upstairs, and I was so afraid to even order a drink because I was like, dang, these people are so cool. Like they're going to know me. They're going to clock that I'm not a member. But then I finally took the leap and applied. And I feel like for me, it was so necessary because I truly did not have any friends. I didn't have any community, and I didn't have a place where I know I could go and feel comfortable and kind of reset when I needed one and have that stability. So that's how I started getting involved. And now I go almost every day or every other day. For me, I was looking for a club that was tailored towards the arts, tailored towards people who work in the creative industry. And for me at the time, I was working in tech as well. And I felt like the community at Soho House lended itself to that. But there are also so many other clubs in the city that actually tailor towards a certain industry.
Do you have an idea of how many different like social clubs Chicago hosts?
Oh, okay. So physical spaces, I would say somewhere between 10 and 15. But when it comes to other cultural activity-based third spaces, I'm sure hundreds that are even more specific to the type of activity that the person is looking for.
When you say you were worried about being cool enough, what does that mean? Because Soho can definitely give that vibe. I've been there a few times with friends over the years, always as a guest, never as a member. And, you run into people there. I ran into Chance there and Lamorne Morris, right? So what was that feeling and what was it like to kind of navigate that in a space that in many ways is also meant to give off that vibe that it's, elusive and kind of inaccessible?
Ooh, how did I navigate that? I think to your point, like Soho has a elusive, exclusive feeling, especially knowing that you have to be almost like vetted to get in and knowing that it's frequented by celebrities. So I'm just a random girl on the internet. So I just feel like not knowing if my personality or knowing if what I offer to the creative community is on par with other people who might have a more like formal place. It's just like starting a new job, right? Like you have a sense of imposter syndrome until you start to meet people, whether that be fellow members, bartenders, or the people who run like the membership committee. You start to feel like you belong when you spend more time in a space. And you start to realize that people who maybe felt so separated by like the levels of their career or what they do, it's not so, right? We're all just people and you start to feel more comfortable quickly. But I do think it took maybe 6 months to a year of kind of trying to break out of that mold.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as you've met more people and talked to folks, what is your sense of why people join these clubs? Like, and who do you think they're meant for in the city?
I think social clubs are meant for people who want to grow their community beyond their immediate friends. I can't speak for you. I think it's so easy to fall into this trap of like having proximity friends where like, I like you, I love you, but do we have a lot in common? Are you going to push me to maybe that next, I don't want to say next level, but like, are you going to help foster my personal career goals or creative goals or journey? And I think it's for people who are looking for that, people who want to go deeper in whatever space that they're in. And that's why I kind of like that Chicago itself has clubs that go beyond just being social. I think maybe New York, it's about like exclusivity, but Chicago, to me, it's definitely more interest-based.
When you're talking about a place like Soho where you were a member, what are some of the perks and benefits beyond just maybe that those daily events?
We could talk about the perks of Soho because I feel like right now it gets so much hate. And I think people specifically call out the fact that Soho, Chicago specifically, has been having problems with one, like capacity. Some of the events are so packed, even if you're a paying member, you can't get in. Right now, they're having a lot of turnover of some of their staff members. So there's less bartenders, less waiters, can be very long wait time. I hear you, I do. But let me actually talk about like the pros that I found for myself. One, Soho House Chicago is one of the biggest in the entire world. It actually takes up like an entire city block. So yes, there are capacity issues, but it's so big that you can find yourself exploring different spaces. Two, it's a one-stop shop. There is a gym that I use as my gym membership. There is a rooftop pool. I don't have amenities in my building, so paying for Soho gives me access to amenities I don't have. There's a movie theater, like a free movie theater. You can see unreleased movies, which with popcorn and drinks, like I think that's super exciting.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I knew about that one. I don't think I knew about that.
Four, let me be honest, you can always pop by Soho and have that one last drink. And I think for me, it's just so comforting not really having to think about it and knowing you can just have a lounge, you know what you're going to expect. I think there's a lot of pros for me personally. And can I mention the big one?
Please go ahead.
So when you're under 27, membership is like half off. So I, at a certain point, was only paying like $120 a month. Why would you not? Like, to me, at least, that is cheaper than a lot of gym memberships that you can find in any city. So for me, knowing that it's my gym, my pool, my movie theater, my everything all in one for $120 makes sense to me personally. I know that's not everyone's reality, but I think thinking about what you get is worth it to me.
And as somebody who works from home, our entire team does, it's been good for me to find places that I can like consistently visit.
Yeah.
And I right now I have a gym membership at one place, right? I have a neighborhood bar that I stop by. I got to go to a different place to maybe get an indoor pool. And so the idea of bringing some of those things together, is pretty cool. And I will say the few times that I've gone to Soho House, it's both been dictated by the people I went with who were good people. But then when I got there, I was actually surprised at like the range of my friends who I saw in there from across like industries, people who like do music and do art, to my friends who are like organizers and journalists, to people who like throw parties. Like I walked in there, it was like, I actually felt a lot more comfortable because I was like, oh, and maybe that just speaks to me. Maybe that's the circle that like somebody's listening. It's like, Kobe, yeah, it sounds like you would know people who go to Soho House. That's not a surprise to me. Fall is in full swing, which means fall theater season is back and cracking across the city. And I got another pick for you to look out for. Don't wait to secure your tickets to Timeline Theater Company's world premiere of Hundreds and Hundreds of Stars. Motherhood, marijuana, and the multiverse collide in this story set in Chicago, exploring family, immigration, and identity. The play follows Clara, who's applying for U.S. citizenship ahead of a trip to Paris with her tween daughter, but Clara's application is unexpectedly flagged, threatening the only home she's ever known. We got a quote from the playwright and star Sandra Delgado, who says, "This is a very personal family tale, not unlike those playing out more and more every single day in Chicago and around the country." Now playing in a limited run through November 9th, this Timeline production is being hosted in the immaculate Looking Glass Theater space in the historic Water Tower Waterworks at Pearson in Michigan. Visit timelinetheater.com for more info and to get your tickets today. Seriously, the temps are dropping, the rain is coming, and you don't want to run out of time to replace your old, stuck, or drafty windows. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Window Nation offers some of the best replacement windows out there. Plus, the installation crews are quick and effective, finishing a job in a day or less, and you can rest easy with Window Nation's lifetime warranty. And get this, right now you can make no payments for 2 years, no monthly payments, no down payment, and no interest until 2027. Protect your home into the future with high-quality windows from Window Nation. Schedule your fast free estimate now with the pros at Window Nation and do it before October 31st to save big. Head to windownation.com. I know we've talked a lot about Soho. A lot of people I know maybe their introduction into some of Chicago's social clubs. But between your own personal research, looking for different social clubs in the city, and responding to people who've left comments on your video, you've kind of got a broader experience. So if we get into some specific clubs, if you're someone in, say, your 20s, your 30s, what's a few places you would recommend?
Someone in your 20s, I feel like a Three Cities Club would be a great option because slightly younger, has a very relaxed environment, and they have two physical locations. I believe one is in the Loop and one's in Wicker. So that might be a great option because they have a lot more intimate talks, feelings, and it's more of a work from home location. If you're also in your 20s, I think Soho House is a great option because you can get that under 27 discount. Then when it comes to maybe moving into your early 30s, I think moving into clubs that lend themselves to more of a professional environment, like a university club that has a pretty strong mix of early 30s, but also has a significant number of members who are well seasoned into their careers and are industry leaders, that may be professionally a benefit to you.
Have you personally benefited from making a networking connection, picking up a gig, or just meeting someone that's kind of helped you in your professional career?
I don't think I was going into being a member at Soho House with the intention for professional networking. However, as I've gotten deeper into working in the arts or volunteering in the arts in some capacity, I will say it really helps with my personal creative endeavors, whether it be with like people who are throwing those art parties or who are trying to create spaces outside of clubs and bars. This is part of the reason why I was considering switching, because Soho House to me doesn't lend itself to a professional environment. That's why I was looking at a club like University Club, because it has a very strong mix of like, you've been a career person for 30, 40 years, and you can offer real advice to me as a early 30s individual. It's downtown. It's in this beautiful building that it's like your traditional Gothic building built in like 1860, gorgeous wood inlays, and it's right on the park. So not only is it a gorgeous space, but they also have a lot more, what's the word for it, traditional sports that you can kind of get into, whether that be tennis or squash. So if you're into building connections over like more traditional means, that's definitely a space for you. They also have clubs, which I think are pretty cool. Like you can join Wine Club where they bring a sommelier every month, and Golf Club where they take you to.
So it's like sub levels inside of the club.
Yes. And then there's also like a Union League Club, which is, again, another historic building downtown. But to me, their professionals lend a little bit younger, like sub 40. And then if you're 40 and you're still interested, I had the opportunity to go up to Saddle and Cycle Club. It's in Lincoln Park, up on the lake, actually. That, first of all, beautiful space. It looks more like a traditional country club, if you ask me. So if you're 40s with a family, maybe you live in the Lincoln Park area, that is where you probably would visit and would frequent. They have like tennis, they have picnics, they have events that are really suited to that outdoor, right on the lake space, and definitely more family focused.
A lot of these places have like a physical space that you can visit. You may maybe go take a tour. Have you gotten to look into any social clubs that maybe are a little more transient or move around the city? You know, maybe if it's a running club or an exercise club or a volunteer group.
Oh, Jacoby.
The Jacoby is hilarious.
I've done the running club. That is not for me. But
talk about the differences.
Okay, so I love the idea of the transient clubs that meet at new spaces, because at a certain point, you kind of get tired of going to the same space every time. And like, that's fair. Everyone does, right? I think about clubs like a Chicago running club or a jump club as being so fun, because you know you are going to get a new experience every single time. And that's what I love about them. While I don't think running is for me, I
okay.
am very impressed.
We're getting closer to the heart of it.
Yes. But I mean, that's just like the sport wellness ones. So I do think they definitely have a place. And if you're someone who's looking for a bit more variety, the transient clubs, or I call them more of like community clubs, in my opinion, because that's what they're there to do, right? They're there to build community.
For sure.
And that might be what you're looking for. I also like that you can kind of pick and choose when you want to attend those versus a membership club where obviously you're paying monthly and you're locked into a contract.
I've gone to an event for the Chicago Black Film Club. I've done a couple of cycling clubs, like some one-offs, like you said. That's what I really appreciate them. It feels like the events may be consistent, like a Las Sandias Run Club, where if you wanted to pop in for one of them, you're going to get a good run. They usually bring speakers in. It's a club that, was founded by people showing up for Palestinian liberation. And so there's often like an education component to the run. And shout out to Salani Nahar, who put together this amazing, and I think it's a growing Google Doc list of some of Chicago's variety of social clubs, whether you're looking for game nights like pinball or chess club, there's book clubs. There are a number of clubs on here that I feel like you could spend an entire year trying to get to some of them.
I mean, in general, I think there's a push for people who want to get out and who want to get off their phones. I think that's where a lot of this comes from, whether it be like post-pandemic, in the house fatigue, and a mix of just overconsumption of like being online. People want to get out the house. People want to experience real things with real people.
But when we think about some of these more traditional clubs, right, the ones with these physical spaces that have been here for a while, you kind of talked about the process of joining them, right? This idea of being locked into a contract versus being able to maybe pop in every week. What does that application process look like?
It completely depends on the club. Mm-hmm. So for Soho, anybody can apply. If you are thinking about it, I would say try to make your essay about the arts as much as possible, even if you are a lawyer who works on, math patents. I don't know, but like lending itself to the creative arts as much as possible. So usually some type of application and essay. Some clubs, more exclusive clubs, like a university club, I would say you have to be invited, you have to be nominated to be a part of it. But then if you go like super, super, super exclusive, like a Chicago club, they have to like find you and tap you to be a part of it. But yeah, usually to be a part of these clubs, application, a referral, along with an application fee, and then the first year dues. So it is quite I don't want to say it's an intense process, but I do think it's a process that you have to go through with more consideration than you would think. When you're considering and going through the application process, it's not just about them vetting you to see if you would be a good candidate, but like, are you vetting them? Are you thinking about like, who are the type of people who go, and do I want to be surrounded by these people? Because at the end of the day, when you're paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to be in a space, you are going to go a lot. So just being really mindful of that when you are going through the process and when you are writing that application essay, when you are hoping to get into these spaces.
As you even just mentioned right there, potentially hundreds, thousands of dollars. Obviously, Chicago has tons of free or pay what you want clubs. But, some of these that are clearly less accessible to folks, how does that impact how social clubs look? I know there are some people who may hear this and they think they're like hyper materialist spaces, maybe a little bougie people who like turn their nose up at folks. Like, in your experience, how does that cost barrier impact the types of people who end up showing up and the overall vibe?
Yeah, of course. Actually, this is something I've been thinking a lot about, and I did make a video on it because I'm in my late 20s. I'm 28, about to be 29, and I'm finding that I feel very grateful that I have additional income to go to these spaces, to pay to be a part of these member clubs. But I'm looking around, and a lot of my friends are all from these spaces. And I think sometimes it does truly exclude you from like a larger either viewpoint or a larger part of the city that's going on. Spaces like this, while very cool, while they may promote this sense of exclusivity, that's not the end all be all. There are other ways to be an active part in like very social community-based organizations around the city.
We've been considering it on this side for a little bit because we have pulled up with friends and had enjoyable nights. But yeah, the conversation around Chicago social clubs has been very fractured. Like over the last couple of years. Does a place like that give you an opportunity to check it out for free, to give it a trial run?
Unfortunately, no. I wish. Because you sign on the dotted line before you even know what you're really paying for. And part of the, secrecy is that there are no videos, there's nothing online. All you have is like personal testimony. If people are even willing to share that, they have been and are pretty strict on, sharing photos, sharing videos, sharing information. Unfortunately, I know people whose memberships have been revoked for those types of practices. You think they aren't going to find out. They do.
Well, Peyton, I really appreciate you making time for CityCast Chicago. Were there any other places or spots you wanted to put people on?
Okay, so this is controversial for some reason, but I was fighting with people in my comments, and that was wellness social clubs, because I consider places like East Bank Club, BN, or even some of the Lifetimes here as an additional arm to social clubs, because they're not only operating just as gyms anymore. They're operating as restaurants. They're operating as formal networking spots. They're operating as places where people can work from home. And to me, that is the exact definition of a social organization, social club. So the last thing I'll say is, if you're looking for a wellness component, check out some of the larger gyms that offer similar, if not more, interactive experiences. Like, why does East Bank Club have an all-you-can-eat brunch like once a month, So tell me that's not a social club.
We really appreciate you. We are going to drop links in our show notes so you can check in on Peyton's content, as well as that amazing Google Doc list. Peyton, again, thank you so much for making time for CityCast Chicago.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I can't wait to listen.
I got some good news for you. A one-of-a-kind event is going down at the Kieran Center for the Arts in Austin tomorrow night, when Ear Taxi Festival and Chicago Fringe Opera present new short operas from Kate Soper, Regina Harris Bayaki, and Jasmine Barnes. You can learn more at the link in our show notes. I want to give a huge shout out to our newest neighbors, Natalie C. and Stephanie S. You can get like them at membership.citycast.fm. While we out of tote bags, we still got ad-free listening, access to neighbors-only events. We got one coming up this weekend, so if you sign up, we'll send you all of the information. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow, breaking down some of the stories from the week. We'll talk to you then. Peace.